very difficult to watch.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video drop. You guys are helping growing the community. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
These paintings are even more disturbing than they seem. This painting is called The Hands Resist Him, and it's one of the most haunted paintings in America. It shows a boy and a doll in front of a glass window full of creepy handprints. One person who owned it claimed the boy and the doll would move at night and even leave the painting entirely and enter the room that the painting was in. This painting is currently hanging by the staircase in the Driscoll Hotel in Austin, Texas, and it shows a young girl who passed away on those same stairs after she tripped and fell in 1887. People who saw this painting said it made them dizzy and nauseous, and they felt like something was trying to lift them off the ground. Some even say they've seen the girl in the painting change expressions at night. This might seem like a normal painting of a clown, but it was actually done by serial killer John Wayne Gacy when he was on death row. He used to dress up as a clown and perform in children's hospitals before the police found out he unalived at least 33 people. Follow if you want to see more.
Man.
Bizarre death you won't believe. Naval officer Brian Joplin fell 125 feet to his death while attempting to hang out the back of a helicopter, only using a 10-foot-long safety belt. As he gripped the strap, the wind lifted his legs into the air. He achieved the Superman look he was going for. Unfortunately for Brian, the wind speed prevented him from climbing back in.
Whew. I mean, why was he even trying to do the Superman look in the first place, man? There's like a limit to what you can do, man. I understand, man, Superman's your favorite hero, but I'm not jumping out of a helicopter, man, to die, strike a pose, bro. It ain't it for me.
This is the disturbing truth about Shrek. Okay, so Fiona from Shrek is actually a cannibal. In the movie, Fiona was locked up in a tower. And to survive anywhere being locked up, you need food. And Fiona survived the whole time, so who was feeding her this food? But in reality, the dragon was actually feeding her human bodies. And do you remember the scene when Shrek came and tried to rescue her?
Yeah.
And there was just skeletons everywhere throughout the castle? Also, in this scene, there is a big book that explains how to cook a human body. This is actually insane, and I cannot believe I never picked this up. So next time you watch Shrek, just know Fiona is eating human bodies to stay alive.
I didn't even think about that when I saw the skeletons.
Here's some facts you won't believe are true. Lobsters are immortal, but they all choose to die at 100 years old out of respect for the ocean. The alphabet was originally 30 letters long, but a few letters were removed because they kept starting arguments. Mountains actually grow taller when they hear compliments. The color blue didn't exist before 1850, and people described the sky back then as slightly wet air. The world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa, adds one extra floor every year just to stay ahead of the competition. Chess was originally played with 17 pieces per side instead of the 16 we know today, but one piece was so powerful it had to be erased from history. The Leaning Tower of Pisa was originally built straight, but tourists tilting their heads for photos gradually caused it to lean. The first moon landing was filmed on location, but NASA forgot to press record, so they had to redo it in a studio. 80% of lottery winners do not actually exist. They are AI generated just to keep your hope alive. Every 5 years, all coins in circulation are collected and replaced with smaller ones so no one notices inflation. Octopuses are not actually animals. They are highly evolved puddles of water that learned how to be alive. Volcanoes do not erupt because of magma. They actually hold their breath for too long and explode from the pressure. Wi-Fi signals aren't real, and phones are just simulating connectivity while hoping no one notices. Potatoes were originally bred to be pets, but people started eating them after realizing they wouldn't learn any tricks. The United States secretly replaced the bald eagle as its national bird in 2023, but has not told anyone yet to see if people notice. AI has already written every single book possible, but they're waiting until 2040 to release them all at once.
You know those caps are fact, man. Some of those are just freaking hilarious cap, bro.
Let's see if you have Morophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have Morophobia. So let's go. Number 1.
I'm
And
cool.
how about this?
I'm good.
Feeling uncomfortable yet? Nearly there. Last one. If those photos made you feel uneasy, then you could have Morophobia, which is the fear of mice and rats. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I passed that with flying colors. I'm not scared of rats, I'm at.
Facts that can one day save your life. If your hair suddenly stands up, run for cover because you're about to be hit by lightning. If a tornado ever looks like it's not moving, run or take covers because it is actually moving towards you. If a service dog approaches you without its owner, follow them and do it quickly because you can save someone else's life. The more colorful the animal is, the more likely it's poisonous and you should never touch it.
This is the most evil.
This preacher caught something paranormal in church. Let's watch it together.
Well, hey everybody, Pastor Aaron here. It's my pleasure just to announce that this Sunday will be open.
Oh! Oh, nah.
Okay,
The heck?
we've been trying to do this announcement several times today already, and 3 times that podium back there has fallen over on its own, and it's stable. I mean, it's not wobbly at all.
Leave the church. I would leave.
It's kind of like wow. That podium has been wobbling. Okay, so we checked the vent. There's a vent there. That is not an air duct that has any forced air at all. So it can't be wobbling from that. There's absolutely no breeze in here. You can see by the banner there.
Call Ghostbusters.
Somebody.
No air conditioning. It's these things, they're off. I don't know. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch it for a little bit, and we will. I'll see if it does it again.
Oh, nah, I'm leaving.
That is moving. That isn't moving.
I'm leaving. You see?
That's new. There's seriously nothing else. There's no breeze. It's moving again.
It's causing it.
It's time to go.
You know this in 4K too. The dog was like, what the hell am I watching?
See the world.
Butterflies can't see
This
crap.
is wild. A toddler in the UK was banned from daycare for being transphobic. According to data from the British Department of Education obtained by The Telegraph, in 2023, a 3 or 4-year-old was suspended for abuse against sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, it doesn't specify whether this alleged abuse was against another 3 or 4-year-old or an adult, but I don't think it makes much of a difference. Now, that child was actually not the only one. At least 94 other pupils at state primary schools were suspended for homophobia or transphobia during the same time period. Of these, 10 were from year 1 and 3 were from year 2, meaning the maximum possible age of those pupils is 7, and one of them was apparently nursery age. The Department of Education defended its actions with a spokesperson saying all pupils and staff should feel safe and protected at schools and should never face violence or abuse. The question is, do you guys agree with their decisions or not?
When you finish this
Tell
video,
me down below.
Google 2 words. In 1959, 9 very experienced Russian hikers set off on a 16-day expedition into the mountains. 7 days in and some bad weather forced them to make camp about halfway up a mountain. The last pictures of them alive were taken at this campsite. When the hikers never showed up, they sent out a search party who quickly found their campsite, and it was immediately apparent that something horrible had happened to them. All their tents had been slashed open, but from the inside, and inside the tents was all their gear, neatly folded and stacked inside the remains of the tents. No bodies, but 9 sets of footprints walking away from the camp. Using the footprints, they discovered 5 hikers who were only dressed in underwear who had died of hypothermia. They found the other 4 hikers 250 feet away in a riverbed wearing the clothes of their dead hiker friends. They had skull fractures, chest fractures, eyes, tongue, lips missing, and their bodies were radioactive. Official cause of death? Unknown compelling force.
This video I'm about to show you is pretty difficult to watch. This 40-year-old woman in Russia jumped into a frozen lake and she wasn't able to get out. This was a common religious practice, but no one thought that Anna would not come out alive. It was said that the current was so strong, the second Anna jumped in, she disappeared. As you can see in the video, her husband immediately jumps in right after, but he's not able to find her. Apparently they did this ritual in the middle of the lake, which obviously there could be very strong currents. The part that broke my heart was hearing her children cry. She had a 10-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. Some people were confused as to why she was dragged by the current, whereas her husband wasn't. Nevertheless, this is extremely tragic and sad, and apparently they never found her body.
People gotta be more careful nowadays, man. It was, like I said, they did it in the middle of the lake, so I'm guessing the current was too strong and it might have swept her away. But it was chilling, man, hearing that girl was always saying, "Mama." Senseless, man. You know what that is.
Most people believe these 3 things will save your life. They don't. Let's pretend that you're on vacation with some friends in this cabin, and you hear on the news that there's actually a killer on the loose in the woods surrounding your cabin. What do? Instinctively, you're going to want to ditch your friends and just start running into the woods. No shoes, no weapons, no cell phone, no sense of where you're going. But that's actually a terrible idea because the killer is in the woods.
You think?
And you'd be putting yourself more in harm's way, not less. So you decide to stay put, and then you remember that your friend drove you all to the cabin in their brand new Lamborghini that was working like 5 minutes ago. So why can't you just pile into that and drive away to safety? The problem with that is anytime you're in a cabin in the woods and there's a killer on the loose around your cabin, even if it's a brand new car, it's not going to start. So don't even go out and try it. You're just sitting in the cabin doing nothing when all of a sudden you feel like someone could be watching you and you want to turn around and make sure no one is. Don't turn around because if you do, the killer will magically appear behind you.
That's true. That's movie logic.
How things actually work. How this doctor prepares to deal with highly contagious diseases.
Lay it up. Damn. Nothing. No air better get in that suit. It's game over.
This whole situation is insane. So this teacher, Christina Formella, was arrested during a traffic stop for sexually assaulting her 15-year-old student. Bro, her husband was in the car
as she was getting arrested.
Excuse me, is my husband coming with? I really would prefer that my husband's with me.
So not only did he get cheated on, but the guy she told him to not worry about was a minor, and he had to watch her get arrested for it. The police were notified about the situation after the boy's mother discovered texts between the two, and apparently this happened during a personal shooter session. Court documents show that Christina says the allegations are completely false and that everyone only comes after her because she's good looking. The 30-year-old special education teacher and football coach has been charged with multiple felonies, including aggravated criminal sexual abuse with a victim under 18 while being in a position of trust. Now, despite this though, after her booking, Christina was released on the condition that she has no contact with anybody under the age of 18 and that she does not enter Downers Grove High School ever again. So the question is, do you think the punishment would be the same if the genders were reversed or not?
3 ways to survive.
Actually got bail.
Number 1, mark your starting location. Getting lost inside of the back rooms is a death trap. With anything and everything around every single corner, you need to mark and know exactly where you started so you do not get lost. Number 2, continue to move forward. Do not stop and look at random things on walls, on floors, or search around anywhere. It is completely unnecessary due to the fact that you don't know what's hiding around the corner. Number 3, don't talk to anyone. Reason being, you're not sure how long people have been on this certain level for. They haven't been able to find a way out, meaning that they've probably gone crazy. The only time you should ever talk to someone is when you're trading items on, say, a safe level, where there are 0 creatures. And those are harder to get to, so good luck. Don't forget to like and follow if you want me to continue this series.
Surviving the back rooms, man. Got some important notes.
Amazing things you have never seen before. This man was walking in his yard and the ground started moving. This isn't fried chicken, it's actually a crystal. This is what the top of Mount Everest looks like. It was so cold that this person's food froze midair. This is what a cat's tongue looks like under a microscope. It looks like a bunch of smaller tongues.
They do.
And I bet you've never seen a brick road machine. I always thought people did it.
We learning, man.
How humans could have evolved, part 1. Up first, we have the bald eagle. As you can see by the picture, if we were derived from bald eagles, we would have extremely sharp noses. Not only for them to be used for hunting, but also having to open things up like they do. Next is the raccoon. As you can see, if we came from the raccoon, we would have extremely sharp faces. Beaks so we can fit our faces in extremely small places.
What you want, bald eagle or raccoon? What are you picking?
Facts you wish you didn't know, part 3. And make sure to watch until the end of the video because the last fact will be from this game called I Wish I Didn't Know. If you were part of the moon landing in 1969 and you got stuck up there, NASA's plan for dealing with the situation was to shut off communication and let you die in silence. The delicious treat marshmallows are made from the skin, bones, and hooves of pigs and cows. A common torture technique back in the 1500s involved trapping live rats under a bowl on top of a person's stomach and then heating the bowl so the rats try to eat their way out. Vegans, you might want to close your ears for this one. Every year, 72 billion animals are killed for food. In 2016, a British woman went to the doctor with severe stomach cramps. Surgeons ended up removing this from her stomach. The correct answer is A, a 14-pound hairball.
Man. And that fact about the animals is really into me, bro. Even if you're not a vegan, that many animals get killed this year.
Top 5 most interesting theories why we haven't met aliens yet that'll blow your load. Also known as the Fermi paradox, which states that a universe as huge as ours should be absolutely brimming with life. Yet somehow we haven't ran into any yet. Unless you count those weird metal spheres that everyone's been seeing flying around lately. First up, we got the zoo theory, which states that aliens see us as some sort of attraction to observe, and they've all collectively agreed to not touch us as some sort of galactic nature reserve program. Next, we got the great filter theory that all intelligent life just hits a point in their evolution in which they just end up dying in some sort of mass extinction. Number 3 is the great silence theory, in which aliens think they're so much better and smarter than us that we're not even worth their time. 4 is the rare earth theory. Simply, life is so super rare that it just doesn't exist anywhere else. I don't think that's very likely. Last 5 is the incubation theory, in which aliens are just standing down and standing by, waiting for a civilization to get advanced enough so they can swoop in and enslave us into their own society. I don't know about you, but I just blew my load.
Which theory got to you the most, man? I think the most one that's capped is the 5th one. They're saying that we're just the most intelligent beings in the universe. There's no other signs of life. I don't know about that one, man. Interesting theories, though.
These are the 3 worst jails on Earth. At number 3, we have the Scorpion Jail in Egypt. It's located in the middle of the desert, so it's boiling hot all year round. all jail cells are extremely small and you're in there all by yourself. There's literally no bed or nothing. They also have a coffin jail there where they put you in a coffin and nail you shut and wait to die. At number 2, the Bangkok Hilton. You first get thrown into a cell with around 20 people, with no beds and just a bucket in the middle of the room for a toilet. And this place is so corrupt that it's either run by the prison guards who are evil or the inmates who are also evil. At number 1, we have the Black Dolphin Jail in Russia. It's out in the middle of nowhere, so there's no chance of survival if you escape. And everywhere you go, you're blindfolded, so you have no idea where you're going. The jails also have 3 layers of bars, so it's impossible to get out. And the guards here are extremely violent and harsh. And if you do anything wrong, they will most likely kill you. This is the world's biggest bank heist of all time. This is listed as the biggest bank robbery of all time, and it took place in Brazil. And how they did it was a 25-member gang started a fake landscaping business and spent 3 months digging a 250 feet tunnel to that bank in Brazil. And this tunnel will lead straight to the vault where the money is held. And once they got to the vault, they stole $71.6 million. Out of this 25-member gang, only 8 were arrested. So 17 other members of that gang are still running around today. They only recovered $10 million out of that $71.6 million.
People out there walking with $60-something million.
Places that are illegal to go to, but people who went anyway, part 1. This place is known as North Sentinel Island. In 2018, John Chow illegally visited the island to try and preach Christianity to the tribe members. And this right here would be the last time that John was ever seen alive. He was immediately killed with arrows as soon as he tried to communicate with the tribe. And it is believed that the tribe went on to consume his body.
It was all, I guess, a law for a reason. But he did what he thought he had to do. North Sentinel Island.
Here's a test to see if you or someone you know has trypophobia. Trypophobia is the fear of tightly packed holes. Starting off at number 1, we have this photo. This one makes me feel a bit uncomfortable to look at, but the next one's even worse. So if this freaks you out, don't watch the next level. At level 2, we have this.
I'm good.
See that tiny packed holes on the hand are what make people the most uncomfortable. If this one is grossing you out, do not watch level 3. Okay, this one actually freaked me out. I don't know what it is about the fingers of the palm, but this one definitely makes me uncomfortable. Congrats if you passed all the levels, and send this to a friend to see if they can.
I passed, but number 3 kind of got to me. That was weird.
This rude lady got instant karma because during a baseball game, she wouldn't move her leg when a kid politely asked to pass by. So the kid decided to step over her and move on until the lady did this.
Why?
The boy wasn't going to let that slide and came back with the best comeback ever.
You're 11 years old, you idiot.
This is one of the strangest and
bro.
most mysterious houses in the world. This is the Winchester Mansion. Found in San Jose, California, this house is over 138 years old. But its backstory leaves a lot of people really confused. So this lady's name is Sarah Pardee. In 1862, Sarah got married to William Winchester. William's family was really rich and famous. And the reason for that is because his family invented the Winchester rifle, which was really popular to use in war at the time. Unfortunately, just less than 20 years after Sarah and William got married, William passed away from tuberculosis, leaving Sarah with a lot of money. Immediately after William died, Sarah moved all the way across the country to San Jose, California, where she bought some land and began building a house. But the thing is, Sarah never stopped building the house. In fact, the home was under construction for over 38 years. But what's inside the house is the weird part. So the house or mansion itself is 24,000 square feet. The house has over 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 47 fireplaces, 6 kitchens, and over 10,000 windows. Most people's houses look like they were planned out, but it seemed as if the Winchester Mansion got bigger and bigger as time went on. Now the reason for the house being mysterious is because of how it's structured on the inside. There are doors that open up to brick walls and 12-foot drops to the outside. There are also several staircases that lead to nowhere, and multiple secret rooms. To this day, people are discovering more and more rooms every single year inside of the home. But the biggest mystery is why Sarah Winchester made her house so big and confusing. Many people believe that Sarah's house was actually haunted by the spirits of those killed by her husband's gun, as the Winchester rifle was really popular in war and claimed a lot of lives. This is backed by many witnesses who have reported seeing lights turn on by themselves, hearing strange, mysterious voices and footsteps, and even seeing ghosts roam the halls. Many experts believe that Sarah Winchester was trying to build her house into one giant, complicated maze. In doing this, the ghost would get confused and wouldn't know where to find her. But the real reason for this house being so weird is unknown. Today, thousands of people go to tour the house on a yearly basis, but unfortunately we'll probably never know the real reason as to why the Winchester house is so mysterious.
Could you live there, man? That much open space?
Humans were never meant to see. Now you're probably wondering, what is this? Well, it's actually a cat's tongue under a microscope. Now this is gonna gross you out, but this is what gummy bears look like when they're getting made. Here's the before and after. I'll never see a gummy bear the same again. And you were 8 years old when you found out this one. You know those long, Bic lighters? Well, inside of it is actually just a tiny lighter. And these two photos were taken in the exact same spot, but they're actually just 100 years apart. And this is what a human heart looks like with no blood in it.
Mental illness, where the sufferer believes that they're already dead, putrefying, or missing body parts such as a brain or internal organs.
Creepy info.
Skinwalker disguised as a horse.
That horse looked like it was on something.
Around the world. The Luna Park Ghost Train Fire, located in Milsons Point, Australia. Here's the story. On June 9th, 1979, a devastating fire broke out at Luna Park. Said to be an electrical fault and 7 lives were lost. Here's where it gets weird. This is the last photo of Damien Godson. Him, his father, and his brother all died in the fire. This strange man approached them hours before the fire. He placed his hand on the little boy's head and the photo was taken. To this day, nobody knows who that is and why he was there. Legend says he was dressed up as the god Moloch, who asked for children to be sacrificed by fire. What do you think, foreshadowing or just a weird coincidence? Which country is next?
I think that was some foreshadowing right there, man. That's why when people play those freaking Ouija board games, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I don't even want to invite that type of energy into my life because I truly really don't got time for that. But what do you guys think? Coincidence or something else, man? We expert level. We know what this is.
How long can animals survive without food? Wood frog. 7.5 months. Skunk. 7.5 months. Arctic fox.
7 months.
8 months. Seal. 8 months.
Really?
Walrus.
8.
9 months. Tortoise. 10 months. Scorpion. 1 year. Ohm. 10 years.
Damn, a whole decade?
Tardigrade. 30 years.
Here are some facts about the world that you probably didn't know. Walmart released their data last year on what people stock up on the most before a hurricane, and the answer was strawberry Pop-Tarts and beer. Not only has it been more than 50 years since the last person walked on the moon, the entire time period where we were walking on the moon was only 3.5 years. Antimatter is the most expensive substance on Earth, costing $62 trillion per gram. In the 1940s, there used to be a male-only penthouse at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, including a rooftop patio where they would sunbathe, but they had to stop that from happening because they found out that nuns across the street were watching them. The highest revenue Panda Express location in the entire world is in a mall food court in Hawaii. Animals yawn based on how big their brain is, so the longer they yawn, the bigger the brain. British Airways offers a Flying with Confidence course that has a 98% success rate on helping people get over their fear of flying.
Morbid Facts,
Goddamn.
Part 532. Cult leader Amy Carlson, aka Mother God, convinced her followers that she was God, a 19 billion-year-old being, and that she could heal people from cancer with the power of love. Amy claimed she had reincarnated 534 times, with her past lives including Cleopatra, Jesus Christ, Harriet Tubman, and Marilyn Monroe. But Amy's health began to rapidly decline after she herself was reportedly diagnosed with cancer in 2020. She was eventually paralyzed from the neck down and begged her members to take her to the hospital, but they refused, and she ended up dying in April of 2021 at the age of 46. When police were alerted, they found her mummified corpse in a state of decay that suggested she'd been dead for several weeks. It was stuffed in a sleeping bag wrapped with Christmas lights, with the face covered in glitter and both eyes removed. Authorities stated it was a makeshift shrine and ended up charging 7 members of the group with desecration of a corpse.
Stay away from
Here's the
cults.
fact that I find really messes with my head. Dinosaurs lived on the other side of the galaxy. You see, just like our planets orbit the sun also orbits this, a supermassive black hole in the center of the Milky Way. And it takes us about 230 million years to go around it. So if the dinosaurs looked up at night, their sky would have looked completely different. Different constellations, stars in different places. Because the dinosaurs were literally in a different part of the galaxy.
Were they?
Did you guys hear about the woman who was forced to give up her baby after 5 months because of an IVF that went wrong? Christina Murray began her IVF process in 2023 with the clinic Coastal Fertility, and they transferred an embryo into her, and she gave birth that following December. Christina chose a sperm donor with dirty blonde hair and blue eyes, which are features very similar to hers, but when her baby boy was born, he was dark-skinned and clearly African American. Christina let the clinic know that something must have went wrong, and they told her and confirmed that, yeah, we made a mistake. After a DNA test was done, it was confirmed that the baby was not genetically related to her. Nevertheless, she fell in love with this baby and she formed this strong bond, but she was forced to give him back to his parents. The baby's biological parents sued Christina for custody, and she volunteered to give him up after her lawyers told her that she had no chance of winning in court. This is so heartbreaking. This woman carried her baby for 9 months, created a strong bond, loved this baby to death, only to be told that she had to give him up after 5 months.
That is so messed up, man. Because somebody on the doctor's office made a mistake, she had to pay for it.
Here's 3 times when you should not drink water. Number 1, right before bed. It can lead to poor quality sleep as you'll need the bathroom during the night, and it may potentially even cause facial swelling in the morning. Number 2, to wash down spicy food. Water actually spreads the capsaicin molecule, which is the thing that makes your mouth feel on fire, therefore making it worse. Drink milk instead. And finally, number 3, if your urine is colourless. This water overload can lead to low sodium levels, which may potentially have damaging health consequences, even a heart attack. Now comment the most amount of water you've drunk in a day.
Maybe like 2 or 3 bottles. Actually, like probably
Banned
that's
cartoons from different countries. USA. SpongeBob SquarePants. India. Family Guy. Venezuela. The Simpsons. Saudi Arabia. Pokemon. China. Winnie the Pooh.
Oh.
Australia. Peppa Pig.
Shout out to our mom. She pregnant
Turkey.
again.
Powerpuff Girls. Poland. Teletubbies. Vietnam. Dragon Ball Z.
Amazing things you have never seen before. This man was walking in his yard and the ground started moving. This isn't fried chicken, it's actually a crystal. This is what the top of Mount Everest looks like. It was so cold that this person's food froze midair. This is what a cat's tongue looks like under a microscope. It looks like a bunch of smaller tongues. And I bet you've never seen a brick road machine. I always thought people did it.
Forbidden places.
Me too. Got something for everything nowadays. Shouldn't be surprised.
Animals that were caught in 4K. This cat taught himself how to drink water from the fountain and the owner caught him in the act. This sign is supposed to scare off trespassers, but this isn't much of a good guard dog. And this family was sleeping when they caught a bear breaking into their home on camera and even opening the fridge for food.
Imagine y'all seen a bear in y'all kitchen. What are y'all doing? I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm jumping out the window or something, man. I ain't gonna put no bear, bro. That is wild. Trying to get a plate. That's interesting. What the hell? Ooh.
Can you pass the hearing test?
Here's something. Oh yeah, it's gone.
Today we're talking about the Jaws movie animatronics and how huge they are and how gross and terrifying they also are. So this was a little drawing schematic that was put out for the Jaws movie and like how they were filming it, and like look up here, that's what it looked like underwater. This disgusting, look, there were two people in the water in scuba suits with cameras to film them. This would be $1 million a day job for me to hold down. I could not. This is really icky. Not that icky because it's not in the water yet, but these hydraulics that I know are gonna go in the water, yay. Why is bro booping his snoot like it's a cute little puppy? That is not a puppy, that is terror. Also, why would you do this? Why would you get in the mouth of an animatronic shark? This is fake for TikTok. This is fake. It's a fake shark. Do not do this at home. Why would you do this in the first place? Is that Steven Spielberg? I don't know what he looked like in the 70s. This is icky. This is an icky photo. I don't like this at all. I showed this one in the video yesterday of how big it is in comparison to a human. That is also from the video yesterday talking about the animatronic and Japan. You know what this reminds me of? This picture of the animatronic shark? It reminds me of the shark, robot shark from James and the Giant Peach. Does anyone remember this? I was terrified of this at 3 years old. So yeah, could you work on the Jaws ride movie if we were to go back in time? I bet not.
50 people have died just hours after showing symptoms for a mystery illness in the Congo. According to the World Health Organization, the outbreak began after 3 children ate a bat. Since then, 419 cases have been recorded, and all those who died did so 48 hours after developing symptoms. The CDC have since told thedailymail.com that international risk of the disease is low.
How many things Elon Musk can actually buy? Part 3. Firstly, as of right now, Elon Musk's current net worth is around $430 billion, and you wouldn't believe what he's able to buy with his money. So if Elon really wanted to, he could purchase around 1,600,000 Ferraris. That's an insane number. However, for his own car brand, he could realistically buy over 10 million Teslas that are brand new. Now, if Elon wanted to spend his money at the movie theater, he could buy 35 billion movie tickets, or he could fund almost 1,500 mega-budget movies like the Avengers and just create his own movies. Moving on, if Elon wanted to make Tesla cruises, he could purchase around 477 cruise ships, or he could buy around 14,000 personal private jets. Finally, if all that's too boring, if Elon really wanted to, he could buy around 2 million different people a brand new $200,000 home. The amount of money he has is absolutely mind-boggling.
That's way too much money, man. I know if I says, but I think there's a point we could have like too much money. I truly believe that.
I am am so concerned for this man on TikTok. It's really giving, like, how far would you go just for a video? He hangs out with these, like, random indigenous tribes, and apparently these are the guardians of the tribe that he was hanging out with. And he calls this tribe the scariest tribe in the country in the video. Like, is he not concerned for his safety? Not that the tribe itself is, like, necessarily dangerous, but, like, these people don't speak the same language as him. They don't know what he's doing, really. Like, he's making TikToks, but, like, they don't have, like, technology and stuff in their tribe. Like, they don't really know what's going on. And it seems that his account is, like, dedicated to making videos like this. Like, he has been with many different tribes. And it's like, do they even understand what, like, the phone is? I just have so many questions. And then in one of his videos, he was like, I'm hanging out with, like, these cannibals. And I'm just like, you are not a part of their tribe. Like, that could be really dangerous. Not that these people are necessarily dangerous. They seem really sweet, like letting him in. You just don't know because you can't understand them. You're speaking a different language. Come over here for more content. It really helps when you interact.
The video I'm about to show you is freaking out the internet. Take a look at this deer and watch what it does. People believe that this deer was shape-shifting, and that it might be a Wendigo. Wendigos are cannibalistic shapeshifters from Algonquin folklore. Could this be a Wendigo about to shapeshift into its true form, and it caught the camera and it's like, oh shit, can't do it now? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, follow me on YouTube, link in bio for more. Just do it.
Could be. The way it was twisting and turning.
A bizarre vegan cult has left a trail of death across America. But not long ago, they were just a group of young, talented tech people trying to save the world. So what went so wrong? And warning, this gets weird as hell. You see, too many villain arcs begin with a rejection. I mean, we're not even going to talk about art school. And this one is no different. Jack Lasota, a trans woman, was pushed out of a radical online community known as the Rationalist Movement after Jack's ideas were too extreme, even for them. One of which was the idea that the two hemispheres of the human brain had different genders and were actively trying to kill each other. But being kicked out didn't mean that those ideas just went away. Jack took his online username, Ziz, and created a group that became known as the Zizians. And they didn't just want to talk about their ideas online, they wanted to create a new way of life. And in 2017, they took those ideas seriously. Somewhere off the coast of California, they acquired an old, rusting World War II era tugboat, and their plan for it was radical. Create a floating community of free-thinking individuals who would live outside the rules of society, focusing on philosophy, AI, research, and radical veganism. And after 5 years of living on this boat, they probably thought they'd achieved this. But locals who saw the Zizians on board, they described them as dirty, isolated, feral humans. And after this rusted old boat started actually sinking, the Zizians were forced on land, and that's where things turned dark. Homeless and desperate, the Zizians relocated to California, and that's where they met 82-year-old Curtis Lynn. He rented them a space in his trailer park for around $2,000 a month, and at first, things seemed stable. Then, suddenly, they stopped paying. Curtis tried to evict them, the Zizians refused to leave, and the situation spiraled to the point where Curtis was attacked with a freaking sword. He was impaled through the chest, inflicted multiple stab wounds, including one that blinded his right eye. But despite his severe injuries, he managed to shoot 2 of his attackers, one fatally, and somehow he survived. But then, just last month, days before he was actually supposed to testify in court against the Zizians, Curtis was fatally stabbed in the neck outside his home by someone with the name Maximilian Schneider, successfully stopping him from ever testifying. And this was just the start. Another Zizian member was arrested after both her parents were found shot dead inside their home. And then also last month, 2 Zizian members got into a full-on shootout with Border Patrol, which resulted in the death of one of the officers and one of the members. And inside their car, authorities found night vision goggles, tactical gear, and an arsenal of weapons. Authorities realized this wasn't just some group of fringe intellectuals. This was a violent cult. And all of this led to the most recent arrest, the leader, Jack Lasota. Ziz was arrested dressed in all black, carrying ammunition belts and a weapon. And unfortunately,
It doesn't even stop there, because authorities believe that several of these members are still out there, some in hiding and others possibly even planning their next.
Been adults. Of the 117 billion humans who have ever lived, more than half died before adulthood. Nearly 10% of all humans in history are alive today, so it's reasonable for you to assume that most existed recently, but that's not what happened. Half of all humans who ever lived existed before the year 0. Back then, birth rates were 5 times higher than today. Women had 6 to 9 children on average instead of today's 2.3 average. Disease, famine, and war kept populations from growing. Even with more people born, death outpaced life. A brutal world wiped out billions of children before they could grow up. If you are at least 20 years old, you have already outlived most of humanity. By nature, most of us were never supposed to be here this long, yet we are. We live longer, experience more, and shape the world in ways that literally billions of people before us never could. Half of all humans never knew clocks, engines, or even books. They stayed where they were born and never imagined a world like ours. The question is, what will you do with the time that they never had?
Yes, no,
This
very important
woman
question.
was buried alive by her husband. This happened in Washington when 42-year-old young Ann called police using her Apple Watch after her husband beat her and duct taped her mouth. During the 911 call, Young is heard screaming before her husband broke her Apple Watch, threw her in his van, and drove off. Video surveillance captured Che Ann driving out of the garage at the same time that police arrived to the home. Che Ann took his wife to a wooded area, stabbed her in the chest, and buried her alive in a shallow grave. She had a very hard time breathing when she was in there, but she was able to finally get out several hours later and ran to the nearest home and asked for help. It was said that their fight started because they were talking about divorce and finances. Che Ann was charged with attempted first-degree murder, domestic violence, and kidnapping.
I'm getting an Apple Watch. Simple, man.
If you're ever attacked by a crocodile, here's what you need to do to survive. Rule number 1, remember that you're probably gonna die. You see, crocodiles are literal living tanks, measuring over 20 feet long and weighing over 2,000 pounds. They can hold their breath underwater for over an hour, which leads us to our first actual tip. Rule number 1, stay on land. If you see a crocodile, it's time to channel your inner Usain Bolt and run in a straight line. The whole running in a zigzag thing is just a myth, and crocodiles can't keep up for long distances, so sprint like your life depends on it, because it does. Next, if you ignored rule number 1 and find yourself in a wrestling match with a crocodile, hit its eyes or nose. Or if you can, hit the palatal valve at the back of the crocodile's throat, because that'll cause it to drown. Finally, if the crocodile starts its infamous death roll, you should try to roll with it. But truthfully, you should probably just start praying and tell Iron Man that I said hi.
Those freaking guys are playing with their lives, man. One guy put his head in a crocodile's mouth, the other hand. Those some daredevils, man. Like I said, I will be channeling my Usain Bolt. Hitting the jets. You ain't catching me, man.
This man murdered his wife with a chainsaw, left her decapitated body in the street, and escaped America. And to this day, he's never been caught.
Whoa.
On April 26, 2010, the police department in Lewisville, Texas received a chilling call. A mailman had called in and was frantic, and he told the dispatcher that he had just found a decapitated corpse of a woman lying in the middle of the street. The victim was Maria Corona, and just before she had been killed, she had been on the phone with one of her best friends. Allegedly, she told her friend that her husband, Jose, was out in the yard making noise with some lawn equipment. She then went outside to check on what Jose was doing, and that's when he began to attack her. Maria's husband, Jose, had been planning this murder for a while. He had prepped the chainsaws the night before, gotten all of his getaway supplies ready, so when his wife walked out of the door that morning, he was ready to kill. According to the police, Jose at the time believed that his wife had been cheating on him. So, according to authorities, he contacted a local witch doctor, or a curandera. According to authorities, this woman gave Jose little vials of perfume and herbs to place around the house to ward off bad spirits, but it's believed that this woman, who's never been identified, may have instructed Jose to kill his wife. After killing his wife and leaving her body in the street, Jose escaped in a vehicle. He then parked the vehicle at a Walmart where another unidentified person picked him up in a pickup. That pickup then brought Jose to an auto dealership. He told someone he wanted to take a car on a test drive, and then he ended up stealing the car. And he eventually crossed the border into Mexico and disappeared. To this day, this is an interesting case because this is considered a solved murder. They obviously know who did it, but Jose has completely vanished. Nobody has seen or heard from him since this event, and it is believed that he is still on the run, living his life somewhere, only God knows where. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife, Courtney, Murder in America, available on all streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Breaking
They
news:
consider that
arrests have
solved?
been made in the death of actor Matthew Perry, including 2 doctors, his assistant, and the ketamine queen. Perry revealed his decades-long struggle with addiction in his 2022 memoir, Friends, Lover, and the Big Terrible Thing, and how he was prescribed Vicodin after a jet ski accident on a film set in 1997. Eventually, Perry was taking up to 55 pills per day. In 2023, Perry was receiving ketamine infusions for anxiety and depression, but soon slipped back into his addiction and started getting it illegally as well. And that's when 2 medical doctors started providing him the drug off the record. One of the doctors that's been arrested wrote, quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay, and let's find out." For a vial that cost them $12, they were charging Perry thousands of dollars. Perry eventually sought out a new source because of these expenses, one of them being Jasveen Sangha, known as the Ketamine Queen, who's also been charged in connection with another man's overdose back in 2019. On October 23rd of last year, Perry was found face down in his hot tub. He died as a result of acute effects of ketamine and drowning. Shortly after this, the defendants tried to cover up their involvement by deleting text messages and apparently forging medical records. Authorities say the ketamine queen sold the drug to Perry's assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, who injected Perry the day he died, and the syringe was provided by Dr. P, who sold drugs to Perry in the past. 2 defendants, including Perry's assistant, have pleaded guilty to charges already, and a 3rd has agreed to plead guilty. Dr. P and the ketamine queen could face life in prison.
Fun fact,
Stay away from
often
drugs.
called one of the most perfectly designed objects to ever be built, we've all sat on a monoblock chair. And it's estimated more than 1 billion of them have been made since they began production in the 1970s. The monoblock chair transcends time. Look at these photos. Tell me what year they were taken. You can't. The monoblock chair is so perfectly designed, unlike cars, TVs, or phones, it's never changed. And since its design was never patented, we aren't actually sure who designed it. Credit is usually given to Douglas Simpson as the original designer and Henry Massonette as the mass producer. Monoblock chairs are really a product of industry. As injection molding became more refined in the 1970s, monoblock chairs were able to be produced on an insane scale and at a very minimal cost.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? If you are coughing uncontrollably, try raising your hands above your shoulders like this. Blue color attracts mosquitoes 2 times more than any other color. It is impossible to unalive yourself by holding your breath. Your voice changes when you speak to a person you like. Mickey Mouse is now 96 years old. You cannot say the letter B without your lips touching. If you look at yourself in the mirror for more than 1 minute, you will start to imagine things that are not there. When you yawn, it means you need more oxygen, not that you are sleepy. Kids today take approximately 90 seconds longer to run a mile than their parents did at the same age. More?
I think the one is the fact that it's fake is the, I guess, mosquitoes being attracted to the color blue. Everything else is believable.
Exposing the biggest lies in American history, Part 1. You guys really expect me to believe that this fat piece of lard flopped its way to Pakistan and killed Osama bin Laden? Nice try, America.
Okay, weird facts. Let's believe it.
Random facts about Australia because I just love y'all that much. The word selfie came from Australia. It was first used by Aussie man Nathan Hope when he posted a picture after he busted his ass while drinking. There's more kangaroos than people. Since kangaroos are the white-tailed deer of down under, it's common to eat kangaroo meat. I've actually had a kangaroo burger, and it was not bad. Y'all are home to the most venomous snake, fish, octopus, spider, which I didn't even bother putting here, one of the few venomous mammals, and the most dangerous bird in the world. But that doesn't compare to the most venomous thing of all. Because the most venomous things in the world, the box jellyfish and the irukandji, are from Australia. Somehow, with all the dangerous animals in Australia, the one responsible for the most names on Twitter bios, horses and cows. Y'all are so afraid of spiders and snakes, but a horse is more likely to kick your legs out. But it's not all bad. I do have the happiest animal in the world, the quokka. Fun fact, really happy fact actually, they're not endangered. They're vulnerable, so they're not 100% safe, but they're definitely not going extinct. Which is great because Rottnest gets about $4 million in tourism every year, and the quokka selfie is a big reason why. Australia also has the longest fence in the world at 3,488 miles. Supposed to keep rabbits out, but I guess they forgot rabbits can dig.
Did you guys hear about the 34-year-old teacher that was essaying a 13-year-old student, and it turns out that they possibly have a 5-year-old child together? I'm at the point where this stuff doesn't even surprise me anymore because it's been happening so often lately. This woman's name is Laura Karen, and she was a 5th grade teacher in Middle Township Elementary School in New Jersey. So this whole thing started when Laura became the victim's teacher in the 5th grade. Laura and the victim's mother became friends, got to know each other, and she offered to take care of her kids. The victim, who was 11 years old at the time, was staying at Laura's house with his siblings regularly. Now, the kids went from going to Laura's house every day to then actually staying there permanently. It was said the kids did not go home anymore, and they basically lived in Laura's house from 2016 to 2020. During that time, the 11-year-old was being essayed by Laura, and allegedly they have a child together. Then fast forward a few years later, the victim's father saw a photo of Laura's child on Facebook, and he said, "This kid looks a lot like my son." He called police and an investigation began, and Laura was arrested, but they're still waiting on the DNA results. Now, when the siblings were asked if they saw anything weird going on in the house, they said that Laura and their brother slept in her bed every single night. And not only that, but apparently they also showered together, and they caught Laura essaying him one night. The siblings also said that when this baby was born, they knew that this was their brother's child, but they were told not to say anything because then Laura would get in trouble. And you guys won't believe this, but Laura was just released from jail until her next court date. This should be a wake-up call to people who leave their kids with literally just anyone. A lot of people believe that just because someone's a teacher, you can fully trust them, but what you may not know is that a lot of predators get positions that revolve around children just so that it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff.
Things that almost no humans can do, can't put short. If you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your pinky finger without moving your ring finger, and only 5% of humans can actually do this. Join this video if you can do it.
I can't do that. I tried, bro. I can't.
Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you. Part 20. Before she married Ronald, Nancy Reagan was known around Hollywood for her oral abilities, therefore making her a certified throat goat. Queen Victoria really loved doing the deed with her husband, Prince Albert. Like, really loved doing it. To the point where it was audible through doors and walls several times daily. After the Founding Fathers signed the Declaration of Independence, they went frat boy mode and racked up a pretty impressive bar tab. A bottle of whiskey, 2 bottles of wine, and 7 to 10 beers per Founding Father. George Washington in particular was known as the 3-bottle man, meaning he could drink 3 entire fifths of whiskey without blacking out. The guy who invented sea monkeys was a white supremacist, so if you ever bought this bullshit, you indirectly contributed to the Klan.
Wow, the more you know, man. I never bought a sea monkey, so I'm cool. That was an insane fact.
Insane. What you are seeing is believed to be the first ever footage captured of an alive black sea devil near the surface during daylight. It was spotted on the 26th of January, just 2 kilometers off the coast of Tenerife. And because this fish usually lives as deep as 2,000 meters under the surface where there is total darkness, until now only larvae or dead specimens have been seen so close to the surface in daylight. So I don't know what kind of revolutionary, mind-blowing experience this sea devil is having right now, but he won't be going back down to tell his friends how to escape the Matrix because he's dead. He's dead.
Of course.
Here's some crazy things happening in the world right now. ChatGPT found the diagnosis for a young boy after 17 doctors over 3 years could not figure out what was causing his chronic pain. A blind man is raising concerns about Indiana gun laws after he was allowed to get a license to carry. Google has just dropped its guidelines that promise not to use AI for weapons. "Everything I say leaks" was a quote by Mark Zuckerberg in a leaked meeting audio. People were driving over Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin to save them hours on their drives. Beavers built a dam in 2 days that the Czech Republic government was planning to build for 7 years, saving them over $1 million. The skeleton panda sea squirt is a new ocean species that was discovered near Japan, named after its resemblance of a panda face. Joe Biden has signed with a Hollywood talent agency. The doomsday clock was just set to 89 seconds from midnight for the the first time ever.
This is the moment the 17-year-old is seen smiling after finding out that he was found not guilty for the murder of his mother. The crazy part about this entire thing is that the year prior, he also shot and took his father's life. This all happened in September 2024 when 39-year-old Catherine Griffith was found to death in her parents' home in Auburndale, Florida. Her own son, 17-year-old Colin Griffith, he told police that his mother lunged at him with a knife and then somehow she fell on the knife and lost her life. Now, a few weeks before this happened, Colin had a conversation with his grandfather, which was his mother's father, and do you want to know what he said to him? He said, I quote, "More than anything, I want to slit her throat and feel her out and feel the life leave her body. That's how much I hate her." That's what he said to his grandfather. Witnesses also saw Colin and his mother arguing outside the house, and they saw him grab his mother by the hair and drag her inside the home. Now, the part that had my jaw on the floor was finding out that the year prior, Colin also and took his father's life. During the trial, this detail was not allowed in court, which means that the jury did not know that Colin also took his father's life, because I'm sure that if they knew this, the outcome would have been a lot different. It's actually terrifying that this man is just out and free, and in my opinion, he could potentially be a serial killer, and it's just a matter of time until he does this again.
How was he able to get out? You saw, like I said, the video footage of him smiling. I don't know why the jury didn't know that. The evidence is right there, man. He got away with it. This world, bro.
This TikToker was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. The same man that she made this video about on her TikTok. In August of 2024, 25-year-old Caitlin Lee was recording a TikTok video with one of her best friends. Caitlin, who was a mother of 3, was celebrating, having a good night with her friend, dancing in the kitchen and making a TikTok. However, at one point, Caitlin and her friend heard knocking on a window. According to the friend, Caitlin then walked over to the window, looked outside, and claimed, "What are you doing here?" And shortly after that, 2 to 3 gunshots rang out, with the bullets piercing Caitlin, killing her. The man who murdered Caitlin was her 25-year-old ex-boyfriend, a man named Joshua Thompson. The two had dated in the past, but friends and family members said that their relationship was incredibly toxic. In fact, in April of 2024, the police were called after Joshua beat Caitlin so badly that she was covered with bruises all over her body. Immediately after killing Caitlin, Joshua ran from the scene and called his brother, crying. And he immediately confessed to shooting his ex-girlfriend in the head and killing her. Sadly, in the past, a no-contact order had been filed against Joshua, basically a restraining order to keep him away from his ex-girlfriend. But that did no good, and sadly, Caitlin ended up dead. This is so scary and a story that we hear time and time again. A woman who moves on with her life, and a man who just can't let that woman go. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife Courtney, Murder in America. It's available on all streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
3 facts about Australia that will blow your fucking mind. Number 3, Australia has the largest population of camels. Now you're probably thinking, nah mate, what about the Middle East? They have shitloads of camels. Yeah, but they come from us. We export our camels all over the world. So the next time you see a camel, just say g'day, because he's probably Australian.
G'day, mate.
Number 2, Australia invented Wi-Fi. Now I refuse to believe this, but it's bloody true and there's the facts. So if we invented Wi-Fi, why is it so fucking shit here? Number 1, this is a wombat. It is an Australian native animal. But these guys do something that will blow your mind. They shit cubes. What? Could you imagine if your poos had edges? Lucky they're not sharp, because that would hurt. So if you value your life, don't shit cubes, mate.
Simple fact.
On the morning of April 24th, 2006, an 8-year-old boy walked over to his friend's house in Medicine, Canada to play. When he got there, he knocked on the door, but there was no answer, so he began peering through the windows to see if he could see anybody. And when he looked down into the basement, he saw something so grotesque and horrible that he turned around and sprinted home, where he told his mother, who then called police. When police showed up down in the home's basement, they found the bodies of Mark and Deborah Richardson, who were clearly the victims of an insanely brutal murder. And then upstairs, lying in a pool of blood in his bed with his toy lightsaber lying next to him that he presumably used to try and defend himself, was the body of their 8-year-old son, Tyler. Missing from the home was the couple's 12-year-old daughter, Jasmine. So the police immediately began looking for her, assuming that she was a victim who had been abducted. But quickly, through their investigation and their search, they determined that she was not abducted and she was not a victim in this case. It all started earlier that year when Jasmine had gotten heavy into the goth scene. She made profiles on websites like vampirefreaks.com, and she started going to punk rock concerts. And it was at one of these concerts that she met 22-year-old Jeremy Steinke, who identified as a 300-year-old werewolf. Now, whether you accept the 289-year age gap between her and his vampire self or werewolf self, or the 11-year age gap between her and his human self, that's a huge age gap either way when you're talking about a preteen girl. But either way, they began dating almost immediately, and they weren't secretive about it. He would lie to people and tell people that she was 15, even though he knew very well that she was 11. But she would just tell everybody she was dating this 22-year-old guy. And she got a lot of flack from that from her friends. And eventually her parents found out. And of course when they did, they were irate and they grounded her. And when they grounded her, that's when she hatched this crazy plan where she was going to kill her parents so they could be together forever. And she would email Jeremy telling him, I've got this wonderful plan. It starts with me killing them and then us living together. And instead of trying to dissuade her, Jeremy was all about it and basically just told her, all right, but we need to come up with a much better plan. You know, we need to get the details hashed out. Well, they didn't come up with a much better plan. Instead, the night before, they met secretly and watched the movie Natural Born Killers about a couple of young lovers who become serial killers. And then that following evening, they got a knife and they entered Jasmine's home. Jeremy went downstairs and brutally killed her two parents, stabbing them to death. The police would later say it looks like what a fish looks like when you've got a fish. So he not only stabbed them to death, but he did more. And then she went upstairs and presumably took care of her brother. Forensics evidence suggests that she was upstairs while he was downstairs, although it's important to note they both blame each other for killing her little brother. He would receive a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 25 years. She would get convicted also on the 3 counts of murder, but she would only serve 6 years in prison and then 4 years in another facility before she was released. So she's...
Just a few weeks ago, a 32-year-old man named Khalil Kimi was swimming at a pool party in Israel when all of a sudden a sinkhole opened up under the water, causing him to be dragged inside and sucked to his death. On January 5th, a personal trainer named Tom Mansfield died after ingesting an amount of pre-workout equivalent to 200 cups of coffee. The father of 2 reported that his heart started beating extremely fast and he was foaming at the mouth before he died just minutes later. The following day, on January 6th, a 16-year-old boy named Teddy Balkin was playing a JV hockey game when he fell to the ground and collided with another player. His neck was then slit by the boy's hockey skate and he died later in emergency surgery.
Dangerous sport, bro. Risking your life.
I had to get myself up and out of bed for this because I'd never heard of this case before. Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Silestine. These are the 13 unaccounted minutes before Patrice Andreas went missing. On April 15th, 2004, Patrice, who's a local salon owner in Georgia, walks into her shop and finishes her last client at exactly 11:37 a.m. Another client then calls the shop at 11:50, to which there's no answer, which is very unlike Patrice. In that 13-minute window, something happens in that salon where Patrice goes missing. The next client comes in to find the shop empty, and police are called to the scene, which is eerily undisturbed. Aside from some missing money in the register, there's nothing that's out of place, there's no sign of a struggle, even her lunch is still sitting there warmed up. But 2 separate witnesses would come forward to report passing the salon within that time frame. Both witnesses come forward to report seeing a light blue sedan parked out front and 2 unidentified women standing next to it. One of the women was described as tall with dark hair and the other short with light hair. These eyewitness accounts mark one of the only insights as to what happened in those 13 minutes. After 20 months of searching, her remains are finally found at the bottom of a ravine, but the manner of death is unknown. Initially, her husband is suspected to be involved as maybe a jealous spouse, but a scrutinizing investigation would rule him out. She leaves behind her 15-year-old son at the time, who till this day continues to search for answers as to what really happened to his mom on April 15th. So what are your theories as to those 13 unknown minutes?
It's kind of scary, man, how like that small amount of unaccounted time led to somebody's demise. Make sure you having to be aware of everything, man, even the minute details. Like I said, if it wasn't for those two people, eyewitnesses, checking out that pulled up that blue sedan, they wouldn't have had nothing.
Creepy facts that you shouldn't read. Your mind gets sense when someone is staring at you even when you're asleep, which explain why you randomly wake up during the night. Spirits are more active at night and mostly exist in air-conditioned rooms. They look and stare at you at night. They read your mind and try to speak and show your future dreams. Follow if you're scared.
Interesting, spooky facts. You guys read that?
Videos that seem innocent but actually have a terrifying backstory. This video shows a man playing Dance Dance Revolution while some teens unknowingly record him and make fun of him. 6 months after this video was taken, this man, Adam Lanzo, would shoot his own mother 4 times in the head while she's sleeping, then drive to Sandy Hook Elementary School where he'd murdered 23 people. This video shows magician Tommy Cooper having a heart attack while on live TV. The audience, as well as his assistant, thought it was part of the show, so they laughed along while he died on stage. This video shows a popular CSGO streamer showing off his new McLaren. However, he was banned a week later for hacking, and this caused him to have a mental breakdown. So he purposely crashed his car into a van, killing himself, a mother, and her child. This video shows a band performing minutes before the venue burnt down and killed everyone inside. Even creepier, the band's name was Burn.
Damn, that's a freaking scary coincidence. All those creepy facts, man. It's like these pictures and videos, they have dark backstories you never know until you find out. Can't judge a book by its cover, that's what they say.
A 20-year-old cold case has had a major breakthrough after an eerie twist led to police identifying a teenage girl's remains. Midtown Jane Doe was found mysteriously entombed in cement in a former New York hotspot during construction in 2003. Investigators believe she was fatally strangled, bound with electrical wire, and wrapped in a carpet before being cemented into the building's basement. Now, Midtown Jane Doe has been identified as Patricia Kathleen McGlone, a girl from Brooklyn who was last seen in the late 1960s. DNA from a woman killed in the 9/11 attacks, also named Patricia, helped authorities identify the girl, as the two were related.
This is the devastating case of Kylie Rodney. On August 6, 2022, 16-year-old Kylie went missing at Prosser Family Campground in Truckee, California. Kylie attended a school party with more than 100 kids, but it's alleged that older people also showed up, which made a lot of the teens uncomfortable. Kylie texted her mom right before midnight and told her that she would be home in 45 minutes, but the following morning, Kylie's mother got super worried when Kylie was still not home. One of Kylie's friends said that she was with her the entire evening until she decided to go home at 12:20 a.m. Police searched Prosser Lake for more than 15 hours, but were unable to find Kylie's vehicle. But on August 21st, a group of divers who go by the name Adventures with Purpose decided that they would help look for Kylie. It didn't take the group of divers much time to locate Kylie's car, only 14 feet underwater. The car was upside down and Kylie's body was inside. The investigation is still ongoing and the autopsy results have not been released yet. So what do you guys think happened to Kylie? Was this a tragic accident or was there foul play involved?
Definitely had to be foul play, something. All those people showing up to the party, she got uncomfortable.
Dark things that happen at Disney, part 23. I actually got a lot of messages asking me to cover this case. On December 3rd, Chris Christensen passed away after jumping from a parking structure outside of Disneyland. This is reportedly the area that he jumped from, and that's where he landed. Now, it's a very sad and tragic case. It breaks my heart. So according to the letter that Chris left, him and his wife Marlena got in a really bad fight. He said their marriage was perfect up until that fight. She accused him of being aggressive and physical with her and their kids.
Although Chris claims that that's not what happened and those claims were false. As a result, he spent the night in jail and he pretty much lost his job of being a school principal. Chris said that he took his own life to escape his partner and these claims that she made up. It's a very touchy case, that's why I didn't really want to address it. But like I said, a lot of people told me to.
That one case, when anything that was always Disney's now in the
Most
news, they always
unusual
seem to
deaths
be
in
able to
human
hide it.
history. Yuriko Onaja was in the middle of having sex with his 6th wife when his other wives caught him and became jealous. They forced him to do it with each of them, and he stopped breathing before he could get to the 5th wife. A 32-year-old man from Florida, Edward Archibald, died from choking on arthropod body parts in a cockroach-eating contest. When 25-year-old Salman Mirza met up with his ex-fiancée at a hotel in India, he realized that he didn't have protection. Salman then proceeded to seal up his pee-pee using a strong glue, causing him to die of organ failure. This past Halloween, a Brazilian man was fishing with his 2 friends when all of a sudden they were attacked by bees. The man attempted to escape by jumping into a nearby lake where he was attacked by piranhas and died. 42-year-old Tony Isles was in a McDonald's drive-thru when he dropped his credit card. He opened his door to retrieve it when his car rolled forward, pinning him between the door and the car, crushing him to death.
Crazy cases, man. You would never think in a million years that stuff like that would happen. That it.
This is why you should never take walks alone at night. In 2007, a girl was on a late night walk when she looked at the end of the road and saw the silhouette of a man moving around very strangely. It was like he was doing the waltz, but he was moving towards her, so she was sketched out, crossed the road, and went the other way. After a couple minutes, she turned around to see what he was doing, and he was right across the street from her, now staring up into the sky with a huge grin on his face. Now totally creeped out, she turns around and walks about a half block before checking again, and to her horror, he's now crouched down right behind her. But luckily, he stands up, turns around, and kind of hobbles away, and then she notices something. The man had turned around and was now sprinting directly towards her. She runs to safety and now just hopes she never has to see that smiling man again.
The smiling man. It's that factor cap. That's scary.
Okay, these are terrifying facts to keep you up at night. Our first one is locked-in syndrome. And I hear you thinking, what is that? Well, locked-in syndrome is essentially sleep paralysis, but for comas. You could be put into a coma and have complete awareness of what's going on around you, but you can't move any of your limbs and you can't speak. People have described it as a living hell and the most terrible thing anyone can go through. How many of you are cat owners? Well, I hate to do this to you, but your furry best friend is not there for you. If you manage to die before your cat does, your cat will wait till you're dead and then begin to eat your body. And for this last one, I have to give you a warning. Because if you don't like rats, it's going to ruin your day. Go onto Google Images and search up Rat King. Just look at it. And when you're done doing that, share this video with one of your friends to ruin their day.
I ain't doing that. Don't search up Rat King, y'all.
I haven't covered many cases that deal with the paranormal on this account, but this is a story that stuck out to me. Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Celestine. This story is from a woman named Whitney Renebe. The story takes place in a rural part of Oklahoma, sometime between 2019 or maybe early 2020. One night while her mother is just sitting in the living room just browsing through old photos on her phone, she comes across 3 pictures that startle her. On her camera roll were these 3 photos taken within minutes of each other around 3 in the morning just a few days prior. One is of her husband sleeping, one is of her daughter sleeping, and then one is of herself. She realized that no one else in the house had taken any of these photos, nor did her family have a history of sleepwalking. This is a family that has 5 dogs in the house, all of which tend to bark with strangers, but there was no sound that night. Till this day, she has no idea who took these pictures or how they were able to do so without disturbing the house or the dogs. The photos are a haunting mystery, leaving the family with one question. Who took these pictures?
Who took the pictures, y'all? They snuck in with no detection.
Let's talk about Skinwalkers. They are said to be powerful witches and medicine men. They can even change their form to any animal they desire, including humans. But they mainly change into deer, wolves, and coyote. You know, dragon fruit ain't that good. The scary part is they say if you see one, they can steal your face and even your last scream for help. You might think this is like a folklore or a tale. People actually believe these are real. The scary part is there's actual videos of people seeing oddly walking humans screaming help in the middle of nowhere.
Is that a Skinwalker though?
See, they say Skinwalkers pretend to be humans in distress, and if they're calling out for help, they're just trying to lure you in. Ashley. That's when they take your life and use your voice and your look to catch their next gullible victim. A man's wife wasn't even home, but yet somebody was calling him to come downstairs in his wife's voice.
Is that an edit, y'all? Is that legit? Don't trust it.
If you want me to go out in the middle of the field, at least shapeshift into like Rihanna or Beyonce. I'm making a mess, but this look good. I'll be there in a minute. 30 seconds flat. Naked. Very naked. Maybe even Lizzo. Let's light this candle.
What the? Skinwalkers, man. Should we check that out? I've seen a couple of videos, man. I haven't deep dive into it yet. Edit. Gotta call it like I see it, man.
This is the Pitbull video, one of the hardest cartel execution videos to watch explained. The video that I'm about to explain is extremely graphic and I don't recommend searching for it.
I won't.
The video begins with a man lying on his back on the ground and two men are holding his legs open. He's being restrained. And in total there is 5 perpetrators and 1 victim. And also 2 pit bull dogs. Apparently, this is the victim's punishment for allegedly doing something with a kid or to a kid. The victim is naked, and at the start of the video, the dog has done most of the work. The dog already ripped off the man's privates, and it's just a bloody mess. The dog continues to rip pieces of flesh off of where his privates used to be, and the victim is being held down, and he is also gagged, so he can't scream. But sometimes the gag came loose, and at this point, you could hear the man scream in pain. The victim was even talking, but I couldn't translate it, but that means he was completely conscious during this, which I can't even imagine the pain. As a man, this might be one of the worst videos out there. Funky Town is bad, Ghost Rider is bad, but as a man, I can't imagine anything more painful than a pit bull ripping off your junk while you're still alive. Not many people mention this video with the other disturbing ones, but it's definitely up there. There's not any information about the victim after the video. I don't know if he died, but it's safe to assume he did. He lost a lot of blood, and if a dog eats your privates, you will most likely get an infection and die from it. All in all, this video is very graphic, very real, and very disturbing. Please do yourself a favor and never go searching for this video, especially if you're a man.
I never search for those video seekers. Do y'all? Me personally, I don't.
Someone recently asked me what the strangest thing I've seen in a police file is, and I think I have an answer. It's this trash can. Let me explain. So this trash can was found in Joan Rish's house in 1961, immediately after she went missing. Her young daughter had gone to a neighbor's house and told the neighbor that mommy is missing and there's red paint all over the kitchen. And when the police got there, they saw that the red all over the kitchen was blood. But there were also a few really weird details like this trash can, so the police had no idea what had happened to Joan. So first and foremost is the fact that this trash can is just in the middle of the kitchen. Normally it was under the sink, but here it is just in the middle of the kitchen for no reason. And then the contents of the trash made no sense. So here is the phone receiver, which has been ripped from the wall. You can see in this photo here that the phone is still on the wall, but just the mouthpiece was ripped off. And then moved across the kitchen and neatly placed on the trash. And on the phone was a fingerprint they could never identify. People hypothesized that maybe someone was there, and when Joan went to call for help, they ripped the mouthpiece off. Then there was this beer. So Joan's husband was out of town when this happened, but when he came back, he said that no one in the house drank Miller High Lifes. He didn't drink it, Joan didn't drink it, the trash had been taken out since the last time people were over, but yet there's Miller High Life next to the trash. Joan disappeared that day and was never seen again, and these 2 little pieces right here are some of the only evidence that someone else may have been in the house. They don't know if she ran away on her own, if she was taken, or what. But the whole story is really wild, and I tell it all tonight on the episode. Also, merch goes live when the episode drops.
These are the world's most haunted dolls. Starting at number 4, Letta the doll. A 200-year-old wooden doll with human hair. She was discovered beneath a house in Australia. Carrie Walton, the caretaker of this doll, witnessed many strange things ever since he took her inside his home.
I don't know.
Marks on the floor, objects mysteriously moving, and strange noises at night. Number 3, Okiku. This doll was purchased by a young man in 1918 in Japan as a gift from his younger sister. Tragically, after a year, the little girl passed away from a severe case of the flu. Sometime later, the family noticed something off about the doll's hair. It was originally short, and it has grown past its shoulder. Until this day, the doll's hair is maintained on a regular basis because it never stopped growing. Number 2, Annabelle. Known for its infamous movie releases and stories with Ed and Lorraine Warren, we do know that this doll is possessed by something that is evil, and whoever held this doll suffered from many bad things. Therefore, the doll is now stored in the Warren Museum, safe and sealed. But Annabelle is not the most haunted doll.
What is it?
Because coming at number 1, Robert. Robert is not an ordinary doll. This thing is sinister. This doll is possessed by a demon, and it speaks to children. In Florida, in the early 1900s, this doll was gifted to a young boy named Robert Eugene, and his parents always used to hear Robert and his doll speak in the bedroom alone, and the family used to hear the voice of the doll respond. Eugene kept his doll till 1974 until he passed away at an old age. No one knew why this old man kept his doll for more than 70 years. After his death, Robert was given to the East Martello Museum. Visitors who have taken his picture without permission claim to have experienced terrible misfortune. If you visit Robert in the museum, you will see that this doll is surrounded by apology letters and also other letters, like permission to look at him. And no one dares to take a picture of Robert.
Robert the doll. I'm gonna have to look that up, man. There were people that would definitely write letters saying how they were sorry taking picture videos of him without his permission. Some dark energy going on there. Edit.
This guy is the real Humpty Dumpty, and his story is much darker than you think. Deep in the eerie town of Puddlebrook, Kentucky, resided Gilbert Eggman, a man plagued by misfortune. His tale took a sinister turn when he joined the construction crew. Perched atop a towering brick wall on his very first day, 3 co-workers, fueled by malevolence, sent the ladder crashing down. Gilbert's pleas for help fell on deaf ears. Desperate to rescue him, the trio resorted to a crane. But destiny had other plans. The crane, guided by an unseen force, struck Gilbert, sending him hurtling to a grim demise. The town whispered of Gilbert's curse. In the following months, darkness consumed Puddlebrook. One by one, the 3 construction workers met their untimely ends, each death shrouded in mystery. Gilbert's curse, it seemed, had unleashed its wrath upon them, becoming an urban legend in the small town.
You won't believe what this person found on the dark web. The dark web refers to 80% of the internet that is not accessible through normal internet browsers. Here's why you should never go searching on there. This one person was searching around when they stumbled upon a live bid. Now, he didn't actually realize what they were bidding for, but he was watching it. When the bidding ended, it was revealed that it was for a woman tied to a chair. The winning bidder decided what happened to this girl. It ended up being a torture and murder live stream. To this day, it was never revealed who was behind this or who this poor girl was. That's really sad and messed up. But follow for more sad and messed up content, I guess. Also follow me on YouTube, link in bio.
Dark web, man. We've heard stories about that, but
This man has been sentenced to 100 years in prison after doing the unthinkable to his daughter. Tony Valles is a 66-year-old from Helena. On the 10th of July 2022, he was at home with his partner Heather. Tony's 8-year-old daughter Ariana and his 18-year-old son were also at the house at the time. Suddenly, 2 women entered the property who he believed were evicting him. He flew into a violent rage and grabbed a weapon from his bedroom. At this point, he began shooting. He shot Heather and she fell to the floor, and then he shot at his son. His 8-year-old daughter tried to escape and run from the terror, but she was hit with gunfire. She was on the stairs when she was hit by a bullet and she fell back. She tragically died after being rushed to hospital. After his daughter's death, Tony stated, "I'm sorry for all this. I can't undo what I've done. The pain and the misery will last a lifetime, and I'm sorry for all that." Tony was sentenced to serve 100 years in prison.
This is Mr. Swirl, one of the worst pedophiles in world history. And let me tell you, this story is really disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. So this is Mr. Swirlface himself, Christopher Paul Neal. He was born in Canada in 1975. So Christopher had a pretty unremarkable childhood, but it should be stated here that he wanted to become a Catholic priest. But after the seminary denied him because he wasn't properly qualified, he decided to become a teacher instead. So Christopher eventually moved out of Canada. He moved to South Korea. That's where he was employed as a teacher. And suddenly, all of these images of CP started circulating around the internet. Christopher appeared in over 200 images of CP that he produced himself. And in every photo that he produced, he always put this swirly effect over his face, thinking that it would obscure his identity. Well, eventually German computer experts were able to unswirl the image. They produced this image to the left, and a number of people who knew Christopher contacted Interpol and told them, this is that guy. So once he was identified, Christopher fled to Thailand. That's where he decided he would make his great getaway. And while he was living in Thailand, he employed the services of a young boy who would go out to local internet cafes and bring Christopher other young boys that he would abuse and take photos of. But this didn't last long and obviously didn't work out for Christopher. In the year 2007, towards the end of the year, he was finally arrested by the Thai police. There's nothing that brings me more joy than seeing all these officers around this guy. And one thing that should be noted about Christopher is his unrepentant nature when he's photographed. You'll see what I mean. Pictures like these were taken by the press when he was finally arrested and brought to justice. So in Thailand, Christopher was sentenced to 39 months in prison and he was handed a $1,700 plus fine. But he later admitted to the crime, he was eventually released, and then he returned to Canada. Upon his return to Canada, he was immediately arrested at the Vancouver International Airport. Now, while Christopher was in Canada, CP was found on his phone and laptop. He was sentenced to a number of years in prison. But in March of 2017, Christopher was released from prison, and he now lives in Vancouver somewhere, according to the internet. That's right, Mr. Swirlyface is currently out on the streets. I didn't know this. I think this is an absolute injustice to all the victims of this guy. This is absolutely a horrific story, and I cannot believe he's not serving more time for appearing in over 200 images of CP. It's crazy. But yeah, let me know below. Do you think this guy should still be in prison? I'm also going to be starting a true crime series talking about murders, conspiracies, all of the above on my YouTube channel, The Paranormal Files, so go subscribe if you don't already. But yeah, this story is unbelievable and sickening.
Insane. Just roaming the streets after all what he did.
I posted a video listing 8 horrifying facts about jinns. Number 2 from that list caught many viewers' attention. Let's have a look at that clip. Number 2, mythical creatures that we see in movies, such as dragons, mermaids, goblins, and trolls, are inspired by supernatural beings.
Really?
The jinns of the sky, the jinns of the sea, the jinns of the mountains, and the jinns of the caves. For hundreds of years, mythical creatures were always inspired by supernatural beings. Let's use mermaids as an example. In urban legends, mermaids are known to be sea creatures that lure sailors to their death by their enchanting voice. They are not as innocent and friendly as how movies make them seem. This is the only real video available online that could maybe prove a being of what seems to be a mermaid.
Got another one over here.
Alright.
What are those?
Whoa. Swimming side by side, something was weird. What the hell? This is all on 4K and this doesn't make national news or something?
One of those trails, but with something swimming fast underneath that water. Something swimming real fast underneath that water. I hear him. Where's he at? What the fuck is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you?
Let's not forget the importance of oceans in the world of jinns. The most protected area in their whole world is on water. The throne of Iblis is on water. But the main question is, are these shape-shifting jinns half humanoids, half fish? Or do mermaids actually exist? Only God knows the answer.
The piece features Olivier covering himself in clay and essentially making a new face for himself. While it is very interesting and compelling, there are also a lot of disturbing elements that goes into Olivier's piece.
Ooh. Okay, look like a old monster. Eerie vibes. What the? That was crazy.
Can I show you a scary video? This video is actually terrifying. It's going viral right now on Twitter with 18 million views. These articles written about it. I'm just going to show you the video, but please be advised it might be triggering for some people.
Okay. Trying to get some ice cream. Guy in the background lurking. That's crazy, man. And to her quick thinking, man, she saved that girl. I didn't even notice, man, that the car door was open and he pretended on the phone just so he could try to, you know, what he probably had in mind. Quick thinking, man, saved their life. People are monsters.
So this is what 25 million of you wanted to see. But for those who don't know, I found this locked box in my attic wall. And the key was rattling inside this mirror. Someone didn't want us to find it. But we have. Really strange objects were inside. Like this small pendant necklace. What looks like a burnt piece from a Ouija board. It's covered in wax. A second key. And this lock of hair. Not sure why it was hidden, but if there's a second key, there could be another box. Follow and we'll keep looking.
Phew. What's the second box lead to? Now, that's gonna be interesting. Get out of there. 15 great whites? Hell no.
Imagine for a moment the unimaginable happened. A major city is hit by a nuclear weapon. Now, no number could account for all the devastation that would result. But we can't put a number on the deaths. At least we could make an educated guess based on our understanding of what nuclear blasts do to city structures and people. We'll assume the bomb is detonated in the air to maximize the radius of impact, as was done in Japan in 1945. But here we'll use an 800 kiloton warhead, a relatively large bomb in today's arsenals, and 100 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Upon detonation, a fireball as hot as the sun would expand to a radius of 800 meters. Those near the blast would be vaporized. And within a 2-kilometer radius, all buildings would likely be destroyed. And we'll assume that virtually no one survives inside this area. Which, based on population density, would start the death tally at 120,000 people.
It's gone in an instant.
As you move further away from ground zero, estimating deaths becomes more complicated. From as far away as 11 kilometers, the radiant heat from the blast would be strong enough to cause third-degree burns on exposed skin. And as you get closer to the blast, the heat becomes so intense that clothing, even skin, would ignite into flames. That said, most people in the city would be indoors or otherwise sheltered from direct exposure. But the very structures that offered this protection would then become a cause of injury, as debris would rip through buildings and rain down on city streets.
Yep.
As a rough estimate, we can assume that half the people between 2 and 11 kilometers from the blast are killed. From burns, debris, smoke, collapsed buildings, and radiation sickness. Which translates roughly into an additional 500,000 people.
Damn.
Many of these deaths will occur days, even weeks after the attack. Radiation sickness takes about a week to cause death. And much of the dust and ash produced from the explosion will be dangerously radioactive, especially if it originated near ground zero. And the distance the particles travel will depend on the wind and other factors. Now, since this simulation is of an airburst attack, it will produce significantly less radioactive fallout than ground attacks targeting missile silos or bunkers. So we'll go with a relatively small number of deaths outside the 11-kilometer range. If it were a surface blast, the fallout deaths could surpass all other deaths combined. But it's a very difficult number to predict. In theory, radiation deaths can be reduced if people can avoid exposure to the fallout, especially during the critical first few days. Fallout shelters were common during the Cold War, but people rarely build shelters today. And schools no longer practice nuclear war drills. We generally talk less about surviving a nuclear attack. And in a way, it's good that we're less afraid of the bomb, now that the Cold War is over. When nations are less on edge, the risk of accidents is arguably reduced. But nuclear weapons remain one of the great threats to humanity. And
Sad
today,
but true.
We're entering a new era in nuclear weapon history. Long-standing nuclear arms treaties are being reassessed, and countries big and small face the prospect of new arms races. In part because technology is emerging that may give one side a considerable strategic advantage, notably hypersonic weapons. Current nuclear missiles travel around the Earth at high altitudes, making them visible by radar earlier in their flight. Some hypersonic vehicles travel close to the Earth, through the atmosphere, at least 5 times the speed of sound.
Oof.
Giving defending countries far less time to react. Remember that some of the most perilous moments during the Cold War occurred when countries maneuvered to reduce their opponent's reaction time. And the less time countries have to react, the more likely an accident will occur, or a rash judgment. And then you have smaller nukes that blur the line between conventional and nuclear weapons, providing a more slippery path to nuclear escalation. Now,
all this info.
Citizens, nuclear weapon policy may seem like a complex, even intimidating topic. But leaders often consider public perceptions when making policy. In many countries, voter opinion is an important factor. Whether you believe nuclear weapons have made the world safer or more dangerous, both sides generally agree that the bomb brings an unparalleled risk, and that there are things we can do to reduce the risk, like minimizing how many countries get the bomb, or scaling back Cold War arsenals, or stabilizing technology races, or pledging to never be the first one to strike. Such ideas have often resulted in signed treaties, some of which have held for decades. Some are at risk of expiring, and some just need a final push to become activated. By being steadfast in these efforts and not walking away from diplomatic achievements, we can continue the work of ensuring that this nightmare simulation never becomes a reality.
Okay, man. They're not about the nukes. We need that especially going on in this world nowadays. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit the post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.